Hi, everybody. Here to give you a really quick explanation for these notes, for the competition and predation notes. If you have a textbook, you can also follow along on page 21 to 23, but you don't have to. All the information you will need to be here in the slideshow. So how do adaptations help an organism to survive? An adaptation is any behavior or physical characteristic that allow organisms to live successfully in their environment. So anything that helps a living thing survive better, we call an adaptation. We're going to learn more about this in a whole chapter at the end of the year, but natural selection is the process by which organisms that are best adapted are more likely to survive and reproduce. And so any living thing, basically in life science, you either adapt and survive or you aren't adapted well and you die out. And so that's kind of how it works for living things. So competition and predation are two interactions that living things can have. Predation is an interaction in which one organism kills another for food or nutrients. We're going to have the predator in that interaction, and we're going to have the prey. And I think you guys know this already. The predator is the organism that does the killing, and the prey is the organism that is killed. So you have the predator-prey populations. You got the lynx chasing the rabbit. Typically, the predator population graph follows the prey population graph. So as the prey goes up, the predators will go up. But when the predators go up, that makes the prey go down. And then when the prey goes down, the predator goes down. And we kind of talked about that. We've looked at population graphs already. So here are some examples of predation, where you have one living thing killing and eating another and using it for food. Even a giraffe eating a leaf or a tree is a form of predation. They're not killing the whole tree, but they are killing the leaves that they eat. So that's technically considered predation. Many of you have already looked at this graph, so I'm going to skip that for today. Predators have all kinds of adaptations that they use to try to catch prey. So I want you to look at this picture for a moment and see if you can think about what you think that might be. What kind of an organism do you think that might be? This one is actually the mouth and esophagus of a leatherback sea turtle. And these little pokey things on here are actually used for getting jellyfish. What the leatherback sea turtle will do is swallow a whole bunch of seawater, swallow a whole bunch of jellyfish, and then basically spit all the water back out again. And then when it does that, the jellyfish gets stuck on these little poker things and then get re-swallowed into the leatherback sea turtle's stomach. So this is what a leatherback sea turtle looks like. And then, of course, this is what their mouth and their throat looks like. And it looks really ferocious, but if you put your hand in there, it wouldn't hurt you. These are kind of soft. And again, they're just used to catch those jellyfish from going back up when it has to spit out the seawater. If that makes sense. This is kind of my fun one. There's a ton of examples of this. If you go Google it, there are tons of insects that have a predator adaptation that helps them to catch more prey. This is called an orchid mantis. It's actually an insect that sits in the middle of these flowers pretending to be a flower part. And then when a bug walks by, the orchid mantis eats it. And so it's kind of a camouflage thing where the predator has camouflage to enable it to catch prey more easily. This is a really interesting one. This is called a pistol shrimp, and it is actually classified as the noisiest creature in the ocean. And you can read this whole thing if you want to go click into the slideshow. But essentially what they do is they move their claw really, really fast. And when they do that, it creates something called a cavitation bubble that expands the water really quickly and makes this really super loud sound. And so when they make this super loud sound, if they have little creatures floating by that they want to eat, they just kind of clap their claw at them. The sound wave from their claw stuns the prey, and then they can grab them and eat them. And so that is an interesting way that this predator catches more prey. All right. I clicked on a bad link there. All right. Another predator adaptation you probably see in Finding Emo. This is one called the anglerfish, where it actually is a fish that has a little light on its head that it uses bioluminescence to attract other little fish. And then, of course, it eats them. And so that's really an interesting predator-prey adaptation. Another predator and a prey adaptation is camouflage. And so here you see like an octopus that is blending into the sea floor and a toad that's blending into the forest floor. With this one, it's really interesting. A lot of fish and a lot of prey will have coloration that makes it difficult to tell where one fish starts and the other one stops. And that's actually a protective mechanism so the predator doesn't know where to grab when it's going in and looking at those fish, and it helps them survive better. This isn't really an adaptation, it's just a cute picture. All right. Camouflage, though, is kind of an interesting one. There's all kinds of examples in nature of living things being really well camouflaged to their environment. This one is one of my favorites. It's a great horned owl. And when great horned owls are threatened, what they will do is sit against their tree trunk and close their eyes. And when they close their eyes, it's almost impossible to see them. If their eyes are open, they have these big yellow eyes and they're easily visible. But if they're threatened, they'll close their eyes. So if you go to like the Raptor Center where they have owls there, if you see the owls just sitting in their cage, if they're feeling threatened in their cage, they'll sit there and close their eyes because then they think you can't see them. So that's kind of what the owls do. Leopards have spots. This is to help break up their body shape, so it makes them harder for prey to see. This is a fish that's blending into the ocean. Another one here. Tigers have stripes because it helps them hide in the grass. This one here is kind of funny. It's a flounder, and it really blends in well with a sandy ocean bottom. And then both of its eyes are on one side of its flat body. And so there's all kinds of adaptations that predators and prey have so that they cannot be seen by either the prey they're trying to catch or the predator that's trying to catch them. Another example of a prey adaptation is warning coloration. And bright colors in nature generally mean I'm poisonous, don't eat me. And so it doesn't do you any good to be poisonous if your predator doesn't figure that out until after they've eaten you. And so typically animals in nature will advertise, hey, you don't want to mess with me. I'm going to make you sick. Don't eat me, because they will have these very bright colors. This is a poison arrow frog. Of course, you have wasps and bees, and then skunks that have their chemical weapons that they use against predators that are trying to eat them. The funny thing about this is not only are there animals that are advertising that are actually poisonous, but then there's ones that have what we call mimicry, where they're not really poisonous, but they look like a poisonous thing. So this is called a Louisiana milk snake. It's bright yellow and red and black. It's not poisonous at all. If it bites you, you'll be fine. I mean, I'm sure it would hurt, but you won't. It's not poisonous. This one is a Texas coral snake. If this one is very poisonous, that would be really harmful. And so the red and the yellow are next here. So the saying kind of goes red and yellow kill a fellow. And this one goes red and black because the red and black are together, venom lack. I don't know if I see either one of these when I'm out walking around, I'm getting the heck away from it. But this one's poisonous. This one's isn't. This one just has the mimicry. It's copying a poisonous thing to help protect itself from predators, even though it's not really poisonous. Yeah, which one is the harmless one? Do you remember? Red and yellow kill a fellow. Red and black venom lack. All right. This one's the poisonous one. This one is the non-poisonous one. All right. Another example of mimicry, one of my favorite animals, is a monarch butterfly. And monarchs, or actually the mimicry is something called the viceroy, but monarchs are actually poisonous. They spend their caterpillar years eating a plant called milkweed. Milkweed has toxins in it. So when the monarch caterpillar eats the toxins, they actually become part of the monarch's body. And then when the caterpillar transitions into an adult, the toxins, the poisons from the milkweed still stay in their body. And so this is a quick photo montage of a bird eating a monarch, and they spit it out real quick because if they eat one, I guess I've never eaten one myself, but I guess they taste real bad. But this is a viceroy, and the viceroy looks almost exactly like the monarch. However, the viceroy does not feed off milkweed as a caterpillar, and it's not poisonous, but it tricks a lot of predators into thinking it is. So again, this copying something that's poisonous is called mimicry. This one's interesting in that they're mimicking predators. This is a moth that has spots on its wings that look kind of like owl's eyes. And an owl is a predator that will eat things that will eat the moth. And so if it flashes these wings quick, that can kind of startle a predator. So if you look at what an owl's eyes look like, almost this moth has copied what the predator looks like. And sometimes if it flashes those eye spots, is enough to startle a predator. My favorite thing is all of these different insects and reptiles and things in nature that look like plant parts. There's a lot of animals that have actually developed into looking like plants. Of course, you have a walking stick, that's an insect. You have the dead leaf butterfly, which has wings that look like dead leaves. This tree hopper is an insect that looks like it has thorns on it and lives on thorns. It lives on a plant that has thorns. You have various predators and prey with protection. Actually, these are all prey examples, but you have a pufferfish that blows itself up and has these pointy things, and they're actually poisonous too. You have armadillos that have their hard shield and they roll into a ball to protect themselves from predators. And then, of course, you have porcupines, which have the quills that if a predator tries to mess with them, of course, they're gonna get they are going to get the quills. This will be on an assignment that you do tomorrow. You're going to look at some of these examples of the adaptations, camouflage, protective covering. This will be in the assignment for tomorrow. Instead of doing them in the book, we're going to have you do an electronic set of questions tomorrow. All right. That's it for predator-prey adaptations. That's kind of a fun topic. Hopefully